Yes, good afternoon from Amsterdam and good morning from the other side of the Atlantic. And yes, Vino is here with me again. I'm so happy with us actually. And for those of you who haven't seen the previous episode with Vino, yeah, she's wonderful, first of all. She's the kids and family whisperer, and she's here to offer some perspectives that hopefully will help you advance in putting the pieces of the puzzle together. We're talking about children, their health, about self-harming, and about emotions. Now, for 25 years, Vino has worked with children, with teens, and adults to inspire them to believe in themselves and to know their own greatness. And she's a behavior specialist and a life coach. And Vino specializes in working with kids, with teens, and adults to look at their behaviors to help see what's not working and what's working as well, helping them to see who they are and where they are at, where they want to be, and how to close the gap. And drawing upon her experience as personal and professional as a behavior specialist and life coach, Vino has created a 4-day program. It's really cool, called In Home Turnaround. So here in this program, Vino moves in with a family for 4 days and helps them recognize patterns and the family dynamics and helps them bring peace back in their home, help parents get back in charge and create a more passionate relationship between the parents. And through the lessons and the gifts that Vino has received from her own past experience, it has helped her to be a huge advocate to make our society bully proof. And in order to do this, she speaks at schools, conferences, and many different platforms now, of course, online, to teach how to improve self-worth and self-esteem and change our story. She's also a best-selling author of 2 books, Bullyproof and the book best-selling book Numb. So cool to have you here again, Vinu. Thank you so much for being here. We have a really serious issue, and we can be light about it and smart about it. And it's about self-harming in children, in teenagers, and it's about emotions. And before starting it, Vinu, we center. That's our stuff. We center. We have a rendezvous with the present moment, and we center. And ping, just let's close our eyes for a little bit and connect with the breath. Just be curious where the breath is and how deep it goes into the body. And let's connect with a character strength with that we have, curiosity. Let's embody attitude of curiosity, a strength of curiosity to bring in our discussion. And when you're ready, just open your eyes and let's rock and roll. Vino, yay, she's here. Thank you so
Yay.
much for taking time and to help with this. Is a really cool stuff. What you're doing in life and being a mother of 3, I can't tell you. You do so much good into this world by moving in with families, by coaching them, helping to, first of all, to change dynamics between the parents, because children learn from the parents. And when there is love and um, constructive criticism and constructive resolutions of conflicts, kids learn from parents, from what they see, right?
Yes.
And so you do noble work. So thank you so much. The topic today, it's about self-harming. And what about, do you think that self-harming has anything to do with social status?
I do not.
Mm,
And it's interesting because um, a lot of people would think that it does, right? That these kids that have all these emotional or mental health issues are the ones that do self harm. And I am going to let you know that that's not true. You know, self harming um, is not prejudiced, it doesn't just go after one type
no,
of social status, of color, of race, of religion, or politics. Like it has no boundaries, you
it
know.
does.
um, Self harm. So I would like to just define it first of all, if that's
Yes,
okay.
what is it?
So self harm is an escape. It is an escape of the emotions that one would feel deep inside of them that they don't know how to communicate. So it's a behavior. Self harm is a behavior. It's a way
Yes,
of
ultimately,
communicating,
absolutely,
a
yes.
release of some type of emotion,
Pain,
right? So
pain.
it, yes, pain, absolutely
Yeah,
pain. So, you know, we in our world we would call them unresourceful emotions, but I'm going to tell you, every emotion we feel is here to serve us.
yes,
You know, whether it's sadness, grief, rejection, it is all here as something of a protection, a pattern, a curiosity, right? Like, why does this keep showing up in my life? And
yes,
through my journey, you know, I heard the word emotional intelligence a few years ago, and I'm like, what is emotional intelligence? And what I realized is I have been on this journey since I was 13 years old to
yeah,
understand behaviors and the emotions we feel at such a deep level of what they mean, how do we align with them, and what do we do with them.
yes,
So self harm can come in cutting. I personally would scratch. I take my nail and scratch. It can come in burning. Some people pick their hair or they pick their skin, their
yes,
pickers. Alcohol, drugs, eating, not eating. You know, all these things that we've labeled as disorders
yeah,
are ways that we release these emotions that are inside of us because we don't know what to do with them. We've never learned how to release them in a way that's
exactly.
serving us.
Yes,
And
yes,
it's interesting because our mind does things that um, thinks that we're releasing it in a way, right? Like we're getting it out. And you know, I don't know much about the minds and stuff, and I know that you're going to have Becky Blake, who's amazing, and she really knows about how the mind connects to different things and behavior. So I
yes,
think she's going to be a beautiful complement to all of this because as we align in our work, she goes much deeper into the brain connection. And
yes.
so I'm just, you know, this is beautiful because
It's
our
gonna be to on Thursday. She's
yes, on
gonna be on
Thursday.
Thursday.
So
Yes.
I saw that and I was like,
So
wow, like how in
yeah, we go.
sync
Hmm.
Catalina is because, you know, it's really about the brain, it's about the mindset,
It is
right?
about the brain. Yes, it is. It is about the brain, and the thing that it starts with being able to stay with the emotions, and and then go through actually the biochemical aspects of the emotion, which neuroscience shows that in about 90 seconds um, any emotions, at least the physical, the chemistry is changing, is diluting itself,
It is.
right? But the thing is not that we don't want to feel emotions, it's just we don't like to feel the
The vulnerability of it.
unpleasant. No, the unpleasant feeling is unpleasant body sensations of the emotions, and especially for kids and teenagers, they don't have at least the vocabulary to express them, the emotional vocabulary. So from your experience, what age do you see this happening start to happen?
So it's interesting. So I've done a lot of research, a lot of
Yeah,
research. This is one of the things actually before I started going into homes and creating my project that I've done with families, it started from this. It started
yeah,
from helping kids to be on a different path and understand. Like, I look back as like, if I was 13, what would I have needed then? Right? Because that's the year I became suicidal. That's the year
Yeah.
I decided that every night I would go to bed praying that God didn't let me wake up. I was that statistics where they say, 160,000 kids won't go to school a day. And it has
Yeah.
nothing to do with coronavirus. It has
Yes.
to do with the fact that they are afraid of what they go to in their peers, right?
Yes.
So there's different stages of loneliness.
Yes.
There's loneliness of an intimate relationship. That's why people that are married feel lonely, but they love each other. There's that intimate relationship with a friend, that one connection that somebody called it their 3 a.m. friend, right? I heard that the other night, that person at 3 a.m. that you can call and they're going to wake up, right? And take
Yes.
that call. Or it's the third is the feeling of loneliness of a peer group, right? Like we all
Yes.
need to belong somewhere. So
Yes.
what happens, and why do we see this in kids so young? So the statistics say around 9 or 10 it starts, right? Because I believe, this is my belief, that at that age we are going into that personality of like, what does my peer group say I need to be? What
Yes.
does my
Yes.
family say I need to
The
be? And
comparison.
who the heck am I? Like, what
Yeah.
is my identity? What's
Yeah.
my purpose? Do I have a purpose here?
Yes.
And so I believe it's in that moment of starting to understand the part of feeling independent and knowing that you have a mind and an opinion, right? Because
Yes.
just think about it. Before 10, it's do this, wear this. Okay, don't forget to brush your hair, brush your teeth. Like, we're constantly reminding our kids. But
Yes.
come 9 and 10, it's like they know their schedule. They got it. We don't have to remind them. They're ready to go out to school. And we're like, oh, good job, right? Because they're feeling that sense of independency. They're feeling that
Yeah.
sense of like, I don't need to be told anymore.
Yes.
And then they go into an environment for 8 hours away from
Right.
us, and they're trying to discover self-worth and self-esteem. So
Yes.
what I have discovered recently, I listened to in a beautiful podcast from Brene Brown and the old general surgeon, and it's about loneliness and where I got this information. And he says the three, I would say, monsters out there that we rely on to get our self-worth as adults too is validation,
Yeah.
success, and money.
Mm.
He says, and if we could go back to the root of where does our worth really come from?
Yeah.
It comes from the ability to receive and give love.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
and so how are we teaching this to our kids? So
Yeah.
I go into these schools and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to teach these kids. It starts there, right? 8 hours away from our parents, into our peer group, who everyone is struggling to figure it out, right?
Yeah.
Nobody bullies quietly. And
Yeah.
somebody raised their hand at an event I was at, and they said, no, no, there's cyberbullying now. That's quiet. I said, how quiet is the World Wide Web?
Yeah.
WWW.
Yes.
That's not
Absolutely.
quiet.
Mm.
And I said, that is the coward way out to to see they have a voice. How many
Yeah.
likes, how many engagement, right? We're all worried about this engagement on social
Yeah.
media, and to receive what? Our self-worth,
Love.
that
Absolutely. So it start.
validation.
Yeah. So it start with this feeling of disconnection, of not feeling that belong anymore.
Yes.
And what kind of behaviors do you see? They start to hide things from parents. What do you see in terms of behaviors of these kids and teenagers when
Okay.
they start go on this route of well,
Self-harm.
first of all, disconnection, feeling lonely, and moving into through the pain. Yeah, in the pain actually,
Right.
and self
So
harm.
understand, at a 10-year-old mind, right? The mind is not fully developed. So they're not really understanding the reasoning because the frontal lobe is still developing, right? So you
Yes,
have this
till
pressure.
24. So there's some time.
Yeah. So you have this pressure of trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
And when like you said before, you don't have the vocabulary, you're not able to express it. And one of the things that I see, okay, and let me just honor you for bringing this up, because I've had 5 moms connect with me in the last 2 weeks about this,
Yeah.
just finding out. Okay. And they're saying, Veenu, why is this not talked about? And I said, because there are no true statistics, because self harm is very private. No one
Yes.
cuts and says, hey, look what I did. Isn't it
Yeah.
beautiful? It
Yeah.
is a private thing.
Yeah.
And so we can come up with statistics. We're saying 1 in 5 girls are cutting or 1 in 7 boys are cutting, but that's of what we know. Why is it so private? Because we're ashamed. We
Yes.
have no self love or self worth. We don't know how to express that. And I know this from my own personal experience with this. I didn't want to burden my mom. I saw my mom working 2 jobs. I saw my mom going to law school, and I didn't want to disappoint her,
Yeah.
and B, I didn't want her to hurt. As a young child, I would do anything to protect my mom.
Yeah. So in your case was self-cutting, right?
Yes.
But there are different forms like eating too much or eating too little,
Right.
alcohol, burning,
They
uh,
start
what
sneaking, right? So kids start sneaking this stuff.
picking their
Picking,
hair
picking,
or
yes,
picking their
mhm,
different things. Huh?
mhm.
So
But
it
they're all being
starts.
able to hide, right? You could hide all
Okay.
that.
So they hide. So how can we look for signs as parents? Because it starts maybe easy,
We
it
withdraw,
start
right?
withdrawal.
We
Okay, so
withdraw.
look for signs of
Withdraw.
withdrawal in
So
kids. Yeah.
when your child, if you have a child like me, I was very, very talkative, right? And then all of a
No.
sudden, I know, not me,
Really?
right?
Oh.
My
Yes.
mom said I was born with the gift of gab. When I told her I was a speaker, she goes, I'm so glad
I
you
mean,
found
you
your
bring
calling.
so much joy and you're so bubbly. I love it. Yeah.
Um,
Anyway,
so
go ahead.
when we would talk, so my mom worked a lot, right? So,
Yeah.
how many entrepreneurs, do we work with, Catalina, that they're so busy trying to make this beautiful lifestyle for them, their family, so they could create that quality time when they get it,
Yeah. Yes.
that it's not that they're not purposely ignoring. Like, my mom never ignored me. I never felt ignored. I just felt there wasn't time. Does that make sense? Like,
Yes.
there just wasn't time. And and again, when my mom read my book, like, my mom did not really know all this until my book came out, and she's like, she started crying, and I'm like, Mom, she goes, babe, why did you never tell me? Like, why would you not come to me and allow me to help you? Like, I'm your mom. I would protect you. And I said,
Yes.
Mom, it wasn't about you. It wasn't
Yeah.
about you. And, so I remember specifically going to my mom at 13 and telling her that the kids were making fun of me and calling me Gandhi. And in what she knew in her life, right?
Yeah.
Kids will be kids. She did not know what that did to me.
She could not get into your model of the world, right?
No, she didn't know the
Yes.
deepness of that. So when I almost felt dismissed,
So let me stop you there. So in case something happened now to another child, what would you advise the parent to do?
I would tell them to
Ask
get deeper, ask a better question, like,
okay.
get curious. I love that, curious. Ask them
I
if your
know.
child comes to you and says, like, they come through the door.
Mm,
Okay. How was your day? Oh, it was good. Now, I'm going to tell you, I've been a single mom of 2 boys. I raised them by myself, and I was working, and I became an entrepreneur. I was a mompreneur. I would be, my sons would come home. How was your day? Good. I'm like, oh, thank God. What do you want for dinner? Right
yes.
now, where I've moved into the more consciousness of it to really connect, because I have a do-over. Catalina, I have twins now, right? So I have
I
adult
know.
kids and I
You
have
have
twins.
full
So
hands.
it's like God said, here's your do-over, right? And I'm so blessed. And so
Wow.
now it's, how was your day? And they say, oh, it was good. I say, what was good about it?
Exactly. Because most of the time, kids and teenagers say, good. Well, no.
Yeah,
So
nothing.
we need to
Okay,
stop and be
stop.
curious,
Yes.
right? And go deeper. Go
Yes.
ahead.
So when they say, because remember, nothing has a meaning but the meaning we give it. So they're good. So let me tell you my good. My good was I made it through the day without crying until I got home, and I shut the door because my mom was at work, and I sobbed and I sobbed and I cut and I cut,
Yeah.
and mom wasn't there. And
Yeah.
so by the time she got home, Veenu, how was your day? Oh, it was good. And I had this beautiful mask of a face with it was good, little innocent Veenu with a little smile, and then go up to my room. right? Because mom got busy. So I was able to escape. So parents, listen to that. If you are not digging deeper, your kids will escape. If your kids are constantly like, oh, I'm good, and then they walk away, that's a good sign that they're not good. You
Yeah.
know, so ask, well, what does good mean to you? Can you give me one thing today that was your magic moment? And the other question to, to turn that around, is there anything going on that I can support you with? And a child who is hiding may tell you no, right? Because
Yes, of
again, one
course.
of the things that, you say, why do people hide or whatnot? Vulnerability as a child, when we're younger and it's accepted, it's easy to display vulnerability when you're not criticized for it. But
Yes.
when you are living in a society that says vulnerability is an opportunity to get hurt, right? You said we don't want to
Mm.
physically feel that pain, so we
Yeah,
avoid it.
exactly.
Vulnerability is an opening to, hey, pain, how are you doing today? Right?
Yes.
And
Mm.
we need to just be present with that instead of saying, no, 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 go away. Let me get angry. Let me cut, let me drink, let me eat, let me starve myself, because that's what we're doing. We're trying to avoid the vulnerability because we don't, like you said before, we don't want to connect physically with that pain. Because
Yeah.
when we do, it
It
hurts.
doesn't feel good. Yeah,
Yeah,
of course. And in the brain, you have the physical pain and emotional pain. They're on in the same surface. So
they
it's
connect.
the
You know
same
what I'm saying?
area of the brain. They connect. So that's why they probably cut to get to escape the emotional pain, if
They
you
do.
like,
I
right?
think
So
the worst thing is when I have these parents that call me and they say, I was referred to you by this person and they said that you can help me. And
yeah,
I said, great. How can I support you? And they break down and they're just, and I feel their pain, right? Because I
yeah,
was that kid. And I say to them, I'm like, can I
yeah, of
just tell
course.
you, it's not
Yeah,
about you. Like,
yeah,
this doesn't mean that you're a bad parent. This doesn't mean, to go and self beat yourself up, because this wasn't about you. And they say,
of
but
course.
how did I not know? How
Yes.
did I not know? And I
So
said,
how to
because,
deal with this? Yes, we
right,
deal these feelings of guilt
right,
of the parents. How to deal with us?
right. So, first of all, if you can't be strong for your child, they can't come to you. Okay. Strong doesn't mean sarcastic or humorous, because this is nothing to laugh about, right? When we say humor cures everything, not at that moment. Be sensitive. Be sensitive and compassion. Bring out every piece of compassion you have. And what I would like to offer you is kind of disassociate as the mother or the parent, right? You got to disassociate to really understand, because if you're emotionally involved,
Yeah.
it's hard. When my son came to me one time and just says, I don't want to live anymore. Like, I just want to kill myself. Can you just imagine? Because I was still suicidal in that moment too, right?
Yeah.
I'm thinking, what did I do to my child? What did
Mm.
I do? This is all my fault. And when you stack,
Yes.
it's my fault. I'm a bad parent. I should have known. You're not going to help them,
No.
because the our kids do not remember what we say. They remember what they
What
see.
we?
How do we show
Uh-huh.
up for them?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you need to, whatever it takes. So in that moment now, I would have to disassociate, meaning that I would kind of watch myself before talking to my child and
Yes.
hear them. Just hear them. And what I mean by that is, when you find out it's not, oh my God, they're cutting, you just say to them, you must be in a lot of pain. And I, as your mom, or I, as your dad, I want to understand it. Help me understand what you're feeling. Do not assume you know.
Yes.
Don't assume. There's a lot of labels. Oh, you're borderline. Like, I know they were trying to diagnose me with borderline. They want to put me on Prozac. They wanted to put me on
Mm.
all these anti medicines. And there's not a magic pill that I'm going to take today that says, oh, I don't think I'll cut tomorrow. I'll deal with the side
No.
effects of diarrhea and headaches and maybe more suicidal tendencies, which will stop me at that moment, but it's not stopping me. You have to get to the cause. Parent,
Absolutely.
how you get to the cause is hear them, just ask them, ask questions, don't assume, get curious.
This is very important what you say. But before we go forward, from Jennifer, Vino is amazing. She saved me from myself. Oh, wonderful. And a do over, love it. So people have a lot of respect for you. The thing is, it doesn't have to be a lot of um, Hollywood trauma in a family for kids to cut themselves. Many people, almost 50% of marriages end up in divorce. This is more than enough that can trigger a child and a teenager to do. And I know it's somebody I know very well, very educated person. She went through a divorce and she found out years ago that and luckily her daughter is very good now, but years ago, she found out via school that her daughter was cutting, literally cutting.
Yeah.
And you can imagine as a mother, even if you don't find it directly, but you find via a detour, this brings that stack even more sense
Yeah.
of hopelessness and then guilt. What did I do? So what you're saying, stop, dissociate, and start asking questions. Maybe even get information how to ask questions, how to engage yourself with the teenager, because teenagers are different than kids. I mean,
Right.
till they are 12 we are the heroes of the kids.
Right.
Afterwards, not that much. So you get the how was school, yeah. So what is the best way to ask good questions with
So, we
teenagers
all
and
we
so?
all have a superpower, right? So people say, "What's your superpower? What's your superpower?" My and I don't know if I don't even call it a superpower. I would say it's a gift from God, right? Like I feel
It
like we are
is.
all given
Yeah.
gifts.
Yeah.
My gift is the ability to talk to kids
Yeah.
and be able to create that rapport where they trust me and where they're open, you
Yeah.
know, and because I'm open, right?
Yeah.
Like kids feed off of you. And
Yeah.
I'm okay about telling them about my journey. And I'm going to tell you what's beautiful about that is they get to see like, wow, this woman was exactly where I'm at, and we cut for different reasons. And, but the fact is, whether you're a cutter, a picker, a burner, a scratcher, alcohol,
Whatever.
eating, it doesn't matter. We all have something in common. We had
Yes.
a deep pain that we didn't know how to release. So we
Yes.
found our vice, and that's why this is my book, right? So I wrote this book. And when I thought
Numb.
about it, I was going to write this all about my journey. And
Yes.
then I had to ask myself, why do I want this book? It was not for notoriety. It was because nobody's talking about it. And I named it Numb because I just want to share with your viewers that what it's like to be a cutter, what it's like to be a self-harmer. Okay. I want to put you in that framework. So if you ever have a child, you have a deeper connection, and this might help you with some questions.
Yes.
The pain I felt was so deep. I felt it in my heart. Like I literally physically felt it, right? You said, and I'm going to keep saying it because you're spot on, what was going on in my brain connected to the physicality that was in my body.
Yes.
And so when I first cut, and I don't have a pain tolerance, so this is not about pain tolerance. It's not about
No.
pain.
And not
I
that
have
your suffering is less
zero,
than my suffering. It's
right,
nothing to
zero
do with
pain
it.
tolerance. But when I would scratch and I would just watch, it released that deep, heavy, piercing heart pain,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden I felt numb. That's why I named my book Numb.
Yeah. And how
It,
long it would last, this numbness?
as long as I focused on it, right? So as
Yeah.
long as you focus, where focus goes, energy flows. So I'd focus on that. I wouldn't focus on here.
Yeah.
And so I can make it last 5 minutes. I can make it last an hour.
Yeah.
I can make it last until I had to wake up again tomorrow. Right. And then I had to face the pain
You
again. Right.
become versatile. You become master. You master, right? The more you do it, you
It
master
becomes a
it. That.
habit. It becomes a
Yeah.
habit. And
Yeah.
so that is why when I wrote this book, I said, you know what? We all have a different journey.
Yeah.
And so there's a couple girls I coached that I put in this book. And then I went to somebody else that I knew, and she had been a cutter. And she told me about her journey. And I asked her to put her story in the book. And then she had a friend, amazing, amazing that we all have friends, right? Because you go to people that are like-minded. So she had a friend that she knew that was a cutter. So she was in this book as well. And
Yes.
my whole purpose of this book became more of a guide, right? There's 6 of us that had our own personal journey through different ages, right? So
Yes.
there's 15-year-old, there's 40-year-old, there's 20-year-olds, there's 30-year-olds in this book. And we write about our journey. We write about our why. We write about ways that we stopped, right? So imagine 6 of us with at least 2 or 3 strategies. That's at least 18 strategies in this book, how to
You
get
can
them
do
to stop.
absolutely. Yes.
And your child may
With
not connect
stop
with
with
my
self-harming, right? Not
right
only
self-harm,
cutting, self-harming. Yeah.
self-harming, because
Yes.
whether you cut or anything, the strategies are still the same because it's
Yes.
still it's cutting is just a vice. It's not,
Yes. Absolutely.
so
Is the same. The source
the
is the
outcome is
same.
still the
It
same.
comes different in different behaviors.
Right?
Yeah.
Different roads to Rome, but we're still going to get to Rome.
Yeah.
Different roads to that outcome, but we're just going to
Yeah.
find our different ways of doing it, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the purpose of this was to create a guide for parents, for kids, to maybe out of those 6 people, your child may connect with one of those stories and be like, oh, that's me.
Yeah.
Oh, she did that. I can do that. So, because everybody in this book now is successful. One of them was a millionaire before 25, and she was just in Forbes magazine. You know, so
And
I
still self-harming.
no,
So just
yeah, we got rid of self-harming, and we created this process. She became a millionaire at before 25. You
yeah,
know, because
beautiful.
please understand, every journey we're on. This is why I say get rid of the guilt, parents, because we're on this journey together, and
Yes.
your child is cutting because there's a gift for you to learn, and there's a gift for him or her to learn.
Yeah.
We're all here to learn the lesson. Just
And
what's the gift? What can you learn from this? Maybe it's for you guys to connect more. Maybe it's for you to
yes.
get present more, you know, because you don't know what you don't know, right? If you think it's working, why change it? Maybe this was your wake up call to say, what's not working? Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank God. Thank
Yeah.
God that you found out from the school.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God the best friend told you. Thank God that your daughter finally had the courage to come to
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
and say,
Absolutely.
I'm doing this.
And so let's move on to see towards the end, for parents to help them. So first of all, know that there is hope. There is a hope for a compelling future. So you notice signs that your child is hiding, um,
Withdrawing, not so much
withdrawing,
communication.
not so much conversation.
It's hard to
Uh,
get them to talk, right? You got to pull it out of them.
ex- Absolutely. So what should you do next? If you find out yourself or you find out for other people, how to move on?
First
So
of all,
for,
you got to stay neutral, right? Because if they
yeah,
think that you're hurting, they're not going to tell you because they don't want you to hurt. No, not one
yes.
of our kids want us to
So
hurt,
stay neutral as much as possible, showing neutralness,
right?
at least
And they need
neutrality.
your
Yeah.
compassion. They need no judgment. Make it a no
Yeah.
judgment. I'm not
Okay.
mad. I'm not hurt. I need to support you,
So
right?
don't project actually your self judgment on them. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Give them that open space, right? Like that's like what I channel before I work with a kid is how could I create this open space for them to just, let it out, you
Yes.
know? And because just because they're cutting doesn't mean you know the cause. You won't be able to stop it until you get to the cause,
Yes. Yes.
right? And we have to change that behavior. Like you
Yeah.
said, right? It becomes a pattern. So
Yeah.
we have to scramble that up and get rid of it and bring in a new behavior for them to be able to release that emotion.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
if you don't replace it,
Yeah.
it will come back.
Right. And if you can't do it by yourself, go and get help because there are
Yes.
so many, absolutely so many professionals.
So many
And
of us.
one more thing, because you in the US, US is different from different countries, right? Different countries have different ways of approaching privacy. Some countries in Western Europe are more into privacy. Just give the kid privacy and everything, but this it doesn't mean that you don't get deeper. They yes, privacy, but privacy can come as a defense mechanism for an hidden behavior for self-harming, right? Oh, no, 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 I need my self-privacy. And you as a parent, you grant the privacy, but you disassociate yourself or distance from the kid and from the behaviors. So don't let the privacy issue come in between, right?
Right. And the other thing is, please know that another reason people harm is for control, right? It's the one thing they can control. So if you go to a child and say, "Oh, you're cutting, give me all your objects," you've just now taken away from them
Yeah,
all their trust in you. So I'm not saying don't take it, but I'm
yeah,
saying one of the strategies I would offer you if you know they're cutting or whatever, is to just first build that rapport with your child. Like
yeah,
we have to stop assuming we have rapport with our kids. When our kids are
yes,
yelling at us or disrespecting us, we're not in
yeah,
rapport with them.
yeah,
More importantly, create a connection with them where they give it
yeah,
to you.
yeah,
Let them have the control of saying, you know what, here you go. I don't want to do this anymore because now they have an outlet, right? Because just because you take it, they'll find something else. I mean, I use my fingernail, I
right.
mean, people bite,
It's you
people,
you transfer the behavior, and you are creative and come up with new things, right?
right.
So
So just make
that's
sure you get that trust, right? Because again, it's about control. And if they feel you're taking their control, it's just going to,
yeah,
what's that word? Make it bigger.
yeah, magnetize it, and so
Yeah. And like you said, we
that's
got to keep the drama out.
yeah, yeah. So that's your book on a numb, where
Mm,
there people can find strategies or other books, right? They don't
right.
have
Oh, yeah.
to
Yeah.
go,
Yeah.
okay, but go and be curious, ask, get into the habit of asking really high mileage questions.
Mhm.
um, Stop
And the other thing
projecting
is
your
make
self judgment. Yeah,
when you find someone to help you, find out their history with it. Is it just textbook because they're a PhD and they've gone to school? Or is it somebody that's been on the journey, right?
yes,
Like, don't let all these certifications and degrees block you from getting the right help for you,
yeah,
right? Because there's so many people that are parent experts, but they've never been a parent, you know?
yes,
Like,
absolutely.
so, like my therapist, it's textbook. I mean, she's a PhD. She's amazing. I love to talk to her, but I don't feel she understood my journey.
Yeah,
Right. So it really helps to know if your therapist or something has, they may not disclose, but they could tell you, look, I have personal experience with it. That's all you need to know,
yeah,
whether with
yeah,
their kid or themselves. Right. So
yeah.
just
But
when
it
you're,
takes a lot of vulnerability, Vino, and you're right with this, because people who went through this journey, they made peace, like yourself, a peace with themselves. They are able to talk about it and help many others.
yeah,
While some, even with the titles, they might not go so deep, right?
right.
So there are solutions. The most important is, like, I think the most important, one of the most important, don't beat yourself up as a parent, because it's not about you. um, it might be about the dynamics in the family as well, but it just be a detective. Put the head of curiosity, non-judgment, and love for the kid, and help the kid to go through the pain, learn the skills, so they become healthy and happy adults, right?
Yeah.
That's
And
our
this is just another moment, right? Like
yeah,
this
yes,
is just like Steve Linder, one of our mentors, my mentors, he says, everything is just a dot. Every
yes,
moment is just a dot, and this
yeah,
too shall pass as long as you get that curiosity. Be curious,
yes.
not critical.
And don't miss the moment. Speaking of, thank you so much, Vino. Would you like to close up with a
I would love
small
to.
yay? Okay. And that is silence, which is very, very important at times when connecting with others deeply. Thank you so much, Vino. Thank you. See you next time. I hope. Yeah. Yay. Thank you so much for your
Thank
generosity.
you.
Everybody have a wonderful day and take the learnings and spread to others that might need. Thank you so much.